I know firsthand how much stress can mess with your hormones. Between work, life, and everything else, it's easy to feel completely out of balance. That's where Happy Mammoth comes in. They offer a free 2-minute quiz that can help you uncover the root cause of your hormonal symptoms. It's super easy. Just answer a few questions about what you're going through and where you're at in life. You'll get a personalized recommendation to help balance your hormones and start feeling better. When I took the quiz, it suggested that my body may be overloaded with hormone estrogen and may be struggling to metabolize it. By taking Hormone Harmony, it could help with bloating, anxiety, fatigue, overwhelm, and so much more. With over 40,000 5-star reviews and a bottle selling every 24 seconds, the results speak for themselves. So if you're ready to start feeling like yourself again, head over to happymammoth.com and take their free 2-minute hormone quiz today to find the ultimate answers to your stubborn hormonal issues. And for a limited time, you could also get 15% off your entire first order with our code DATEABLE at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code DATEABLE for 15% off today.
Are you too busy to pick out the perfect outfit every day? I get it. It's tough to juggle work, life, and still find the time to focus on fashion. That's where Armoire comes in. With a clothing rental membership, you can effortlessly turn heads with stylish, everyday looks tailored just for you. With all of our book events and photo ops recently, I rented all my outfits from Armoire. It's been so fun and so great to not have to buy a whole new wardrobe, but also be on trend and even experiment with some different styles. All I did was take a quick 5-minute style quiz, build a personalized closet, and wait for high-quality, unique pieces delivered to my door in as little as 2 days. Oh, and did I mention that Armoire is women-founded and women-led? Right now, our listeners can give Armoire a try and get up to 50% off their first month. That's up to $125 off. Just visit armoire.style/dateable. That's Armoire, spelled ARMOIRE.style/DATEABLE to get up to 50% off your first month and never worry about what to wear again. Try Armoire today. Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to Dateable. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Brunch Talk.
We're back.
And we just saw each other because I was just in San Francisco for another round of book events. It's never ending, y'all. People ask like, oh, I got to make it to your book events before they, end. I'm like, they're not going to end. It's forever. Our book is forever.
True. But this is like our last leg, at least that's booked right now in San Francisco. It's not going to be like our last leg forever, but I feel like we had a lot of these like pre-booked and we'll probably go to other places. So it might be like a couple months till we're back in San Francisco.
So mark your calendars. We had a great couple of events. We had one at the Battery, which is an invite-only social club. And then we had one at the ground floor, which is a co-working / social club space. Very different audiences, very different vibes, but both really awesome discussions.
Yeah, we had a really great time at the Battery. We had Talia Kored, who is the host of Dating Intentionally. She also has a fantastic Instagram account. I feel like she really hits on all the topics of modern dating. So she was our wonderful moderator. We talked about the state of modern dating. And I just love the conversation so much and how I think what sat with me is a couple things. Like one, people came up to us at the end and they're just like, that was such a different perspective. That's different. Like they're like, sometimes when I go to this dating event, actually I'm mixing up the 2 days. I'll save that one. So that was one, a different perspective. And then a friend of mine, actually, she's like, I just feel like so confident after listening to this. Like I'm ready to take on the world. And she's like, maybe I even have overconfidence now. But we're like, that is what we want you to feel after this. Like you got it. And like you are dateable and you can make things happen for you.
It's also nice for everyone to hear that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Because it felt like everybody was in the same boat of being burnt out, same boat of being like, do I even want to do this? And to see other people saying, yes, I'm burnt out, but yes, I also want this was also motivating. I thought that we got really interesting questions at both events.
Mhm.
At the Battery, a standout question was about relationship to alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
We've never gotten one like that before. This is the best part of Q&A. You just never know what questions will be asked. And I was really happy that this person asked about relationship to alcohol on dates. How do you kind of manage, getting over your nerves and anxiety
Yeah.
on dates? It was a fantastic question.
I think we need to do a whole episode devoted to that topic
Mm.
because we could go real deep on that. But I'm glad that also came up because I think it's a very real thing in dating. And like we were both listening to this podcast recently on the Diary of a CEO, and the guest was like, I think the problem is people aren't drinking enough. Like the social lubrication isn't there. I mean, it seems like an outlandish comment, but I also see that perspective. But then on the other side, we've talked about this, that sometimes you think that the chemistry is there and you think this person's incredible because your mind is altered. And that's not necessarily realistic either.
Yeah. We'll give Scott Galloway the credit for saying that because I feel like he has such a strong POV on things that he wants credit for saying.
That's true.
I think people need to drink more alcohol.
It is a strong POV. When he said that, I was like, oh, wow.
We'll just give him credit. And I think when we had this discussion, because I've been talking about this with a few friends recently, because quite a few friends have given up alcohol recently, including, I'm like, I haven't given up alcohol, but I don't think I've had a sip of alcohol in months. And I don't want any, I don't crave it. But I think the relationship to alcohol is the most profound piece because my friends and I were like, okay, do we drink alcohol to celebrate or to acknowledge something, an event, or do we drink alcohol to hide or to suppress? And that's where the relationship part of it comes in. And for me to, before I reach for that glass of wine, to really ask myself, what am I drinking for?
Yeah. We got some really great questions too at our other event. Like you said, they were very different.
Mm-hmm.
And the statement that stuck with me that I was convoluting into the first one is one girl at the end came up and was just like, I usually feel like dating events tell me everything I'm doing wrong. But this one left me feeling like empowered. And we're like, yes,
that's great.
That's what we want you to feel. There are no scripts. There are no rules. Like you don't have to do anything.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah. You don't want to go to an event and be like, oh my God, I'm fucking it all up.
Right.
I'm doing
my
it all
to-do
wrong.
list has quadrupled of what I need to be doing to have my third job of dating.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that's really validating. That's really good feedback. We did at that event at the ground floor, we bring volunteers up to talk about what are some dating challenges they're going through. And one guy came up and I think it was like half joking, half not. Basically, like dating is so expensive and you never know what you're going to get. But why don't I just get an AI girlfriend? She'll be entertaining and she'll do all the things I want to do. And I don't need to spend money on her. And I get it. Like I get where he's going with that. And I think some people were entertained by that comment. But it also made me think if this were a Black Mirror episode where you're in this dystopian future and everybody has an AI partner who says and does everything they want them to do, would you be bored? Would that just be like the most boring relationship ever?
It could be like fun for like a week. Because you're like, oh, someone just will do whatever I want to do. But I agree. I think eventually I could see that episode unfolding of just, the person's just like, wait, I have like a carbon copy of myself? That's not interesting. I also think like, okay, yes, you could be like, in theory, I don't want someone to challenge me or to reject me or to like oppose me in any way. But I think, again, that would be boring, but also not like push you to be a better person either.
Yes.
Like it would just keep you stuck in where you are. And I think where this convo was coming more than like he actually wanted it was frustration, right? Of dating.
I think friction is necessary in all relationships because I think that's what pushes us to grow.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about blowout fights, but just having differences and differing opinions. And if I had an AI boyfriend who was a yes man and said everything that I wanted to hear, then I don't know if I would really respect that because then it's not anything that's different than what I already know. Then I just feel like, oh, I know everything.
I was going to say, I feel like you had that AI boyfriend at one point.
I did.
Not an actual AI, but he was kind of the yes man and you got real bored fast.
And I was like, do you have your own opinions? do you have your own palate where you know what you want to eat?
I'm doing whatever Yue is doing.
Yeah,
That would be your AI boyfriend.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, you're right. I already had a pilot of
You
an AI
learned
boyfriend.
it wasn't for you
Nope,
firsthand.
not for me.
I think though where this came from, I mean, it was a very entertaining question. I think the whole room kind of just got into it. But like there was the scenario was that this guy had taken a girl on like a super expensive dinner date.
Yeah.
And it was like someone he like had just met at an event like quickly before. And I think the audience was like, wait, like why not go to like a park or
Coffee.
like coffee or a drink or anything? And his take was like, oh, I didn't think women wanted to be like taken into a park or something. And we're like, yeah, like into a deep forest where like you're like away from
Not an alleyway.
civilization. Yeah, no one wants that. But like a lot of cities, including San Francisco, where we are, actually San Francisco is known for this, have incredible parks where
Yeah.
you can go and have some wine or just have a little picnic, and it could be a really nice date. So I think it was a good reminder to like stretch what a date could be a bit. I think the pandemic forced us to do this. And I hope that we can kind of get back to a place of like, what can I actually do that aligns with like myself and my budget and, you know, where I want to go, and not feel like I have to do these things that make dating out of reach.
I also want to know, where did he hear this? Who did he hear this from? That women don't want to be taken on these like park dates or coffee dates.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you, I do have girlfriends who are like, I will not go on a date unless if it's dinner. Great. If that's how they feel, great. But then the person who does want to go on a park date, they just don't need to match. You don't need to go on a date with each other. Like it's not an overarching statement that all women want park dates or all women want a dinner date. You just want to go out with the person who is also like, yeah, that sounds like a fun idea for a date.
I also think a park date isn't created equal, because I went on a lot of park dates during the pandemic when that was one of the options. And I loved the park date I went on with my fiance. It was one of my favorite dates because he came prepared. He took my sandwich order ahead of time. He had the blanket, he had the drinks, he had like stereo system, like the whole thing. And then I also went on park dates where the guy just showed up.
Yeah.
Nothing. Very different levels of effort that were put into the exact same date.
Your date with your fiance, that was not a first date though.
No.
Right? Yes. So like a first date, I think you can just meet up at the park to chat.
It did feel a little low effort. I'm not going to lie. But yeah,
like,
to each their own.
Take a drink order. Like I'll bring some, I don't know, mixed drink, or, you know, I'll bring a milkshake.
A blanket. You know? I would have appreciated if someone just brought a blanket. Okay, it can't be low effort, but like, yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't need to be
a little bit of effort. Yes.
Pull out the stops. It like just needs to feel like a date. Like I think going for a walk where you're like going around your neighborhood where someone just like rolls out their front door versus like, let's take a walk to my, I don't know, to this beach or like this favorite place of the city. Like that feels like a destination more. I don't know. It's a difference.
I still remember my friend was asked on a walking date. They met at the BART station and he took her on this walk and she basically walked him home.
Right. That is very different. So, yeah.
Note to those kind of dates. But this comment also, to me, signaled this entitlement.
Yeah.
Like, well, I paid this money and I spent this time and I still couldn't get a girlfriend. Like, why didn't I get my girlfriend after spending all this effort?
Right. I mean, I feel like personally, I would almost be like uncomfortable being taken out to like a $600 dinner with someone I had just met and barely even interacted with. I would much rather go for something lower stakes and then go on that date in like a month once there's like a bond that's been established, or even a third date, like crank it up a notch.
Yeah. Oh, lots of opinions. You saw people nodding. I saw people rolling their eyes. That one.
I don't think nodding, but I think people thought it was entertaining. We had some other people up there sharing their scenarios that were very relatable as well, of just overthinking, underdoing. And I think that's like in line with one of the things that we wanted to discuss today here too, is like, it was on, again, that Diary of a CEO podcast that we referenced earlier. And Logan Ury, who works at Hinge, she's like the director of relational science there. She said the most common question they see is how to ask someone on a date, which kind of blew my mind that was the most common question.
Logan's also been a past guest on our show, and We've actually known Logan and followed her work for a long time. And I was also surprised at this question because it feels like the beginning of dating, like when you just start dating, that's a
Yeah.
question you would have. But I also see all of the signs pointing to younger generations having a little bit of this fear of rejection.
Mm.
So, this fear of approaching people and asking people out is one aspect. But my friend's kid is 14. Okay. She's like, when I was 14, I couldn't wait to get out of the house and meet people and like hang out with my friends. Her 14-year-old can't even ask the waitress if they can be seated yet. Like, that's
Interesting.
how much of an effort that social effort is not being put out there. So now I understand where this question comes from.
It's interesting though, because Hinge actually did a report about it and they uncovered that over half, 56% of Gen Z Hinge daters said that worrying about rejection has stopped them from pursuing a potential relationship. I feel like, first of all, like that makes sense putting that out there. But I also wonder if it's like a Gen Z specific thing or
Yeah.
just in general, people are fearful of rejection as they should be. And also 56 actually doesn't seem that bad, but that's another story.
Yeah, it's only half.
I was like, I feel like if it was like 80%, I would actually believe the stat because I think fundamentally rejection is terrifying to most of us, regardless our age. I do think the older you get, or maybe the longer you've been dating, you start to like kind of get over it. I know like before I met my fiance, I kind of had that like, I don't give a fuck attitude that I maybe didn't have in the past because I was rejection conscious.
I guess where I kind of want to dig a little deeper into that stat is the fact that they have a definition of what rejection is already 10 steps ahead of where I was. I think in junior high school, I didn't know what rejection was. I was so ballsy during that time. I asked boys out all the time. I asked them to school dances. They would say no. And I'd be like, great, on to the next. I guess I really didn't put exactly. We were a little bit more ignorant. And it wasn't so public. If a boy said no to me, only I knew he said no and not the entire school or entire social media.
I want to dive into this even more, but before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our partners.
Vacation season is nearly upon us, and this year I'm treating myself to the luxe upgrades I deserve with Quince's high-quality travel essentials at fair prices, like lightweight European linen styles from $30, with premium luggage options and stylish tote bags to carry it all. And what's music to my ears is that all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. I love that. Now, for me, I've upgraded my travel outfit with the Quince Ultra Stretch Straight Leg Ponte Pants. They look like put together slacks, but feel like lounge pants. So perfect for long flights. For your next trip, treat yourself to the luxe upgrades you deserve from Quince. Go to quince.com/dateable for 365-day returns, plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DATEABLE. For so long, I viewed bras and shapewear as torture devices. Like, who invented them? But I've since changed my mind because I tried Skims. The Fits Everybody collection from Skims is like nothing I've ever tried before. Everything just molds to my body. Almost feels like I'm not wearing anything at all. Now, I've heard all about Skims for so long, and let me tell you, they sure live up to the hype. I've really enjoyed wearing the cheeky bikini underwear. It's like my go-to underwear because honestly, I just can't do thongs anymore. But this is the perfect combination of a no-show and comfy. And I also found the perfect color to match my skin. So the undies don't show through white pants. Yeah, finally. Shop Skims Ultimate Bra Collection and more at skims.com and Skims LA flagship on Sunset Boulevard. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and be sure to select our show, Dateable, in the drop-down menu that follows.
I did think what you found, and I'll let you talk about it, about driver's license in Gen Z was really interesting because I do think that was a shift from our generations. Like, I think some of rejection could just be coming of age. But I think like what you were mentioning with, not knowing how to like approach in a restaurant or like things that are like outside of dating too, does maybe signal that there is something larger going on.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that less and less younger generations are getting their driver's license, they're actually delaying it. I'll pull up the stats in a little bit, but that shows to me that, this is a generation that wants to live in a cocoon of safety. And by stepping out of that cocoon, there are so many risks and dangers. They rather not participate in that. I was 14 when I was like, I cannot wait to get my permit so that I can drive my friends around. I can go get ice cream on my own. I was 14. I still had to wait a whole year. But now, like, I see the opposite. Just anecdotally with my friends' kids, they're like, oh, I don't need to get my license. I don't want to get my license at all.
Although for me, I definitely was not one of those people that was like clawing to get my license. And I still don't drive. So maybe there's a correlation. I'm sure there is.
Do you think it was cultural? Like your high school just had people who didn't?
No, it was definitely like my family. And I also like didn't get a car too. So I didn't like practice enough. So I was just nervous. But it was like more of that it was coming from. But every other child at the school was like going crazy with their license. So I was definitely an anomaly.
Oh, so the stat is 18-year-olds with driver's license dropped from 80% to 60%. Only 1 in 25 licensed drivers in the US is 19 or younger, a decline from 2 decades prior. This is all data from the Department of Transportation. And of course, on one hand, yes, we have more options for transportation now. There's Ubers, Lyfts, Waymos, whatever you need. But then the other, in the same study, the kids did cite anxiety and potential dangers of driving as another reason for not getting their license.
Well, it is the anxious generation. There is a lot on that too. Okay. But we don't want the generation to never ask someone on a date. So what do we do about this? Like, how do you get over it? Because I feel like, yes, it's Gen Z, but then also we've heard of like millennials. We've heard people like out at a bar, see someone interesting, and then go to a dating app and try to find that because it's easier to hide behind a screen. And I'm sure the screen effect is also impacting younger generations even more. Like I think of like, I actually ran into this girl in the elevator. She introduced herself. We realized we both lived in the building for 4 years. We had never talked. I think what inspired her to introduce herself is she was saying her mom was here and was like talking to everyone in the building. And I think Gen X is definitely like, or Gen X and above, like are much more friendly. I've noticed that across the board.
For sure.
And I think part of it is screens, right? That wasn't like how they grew up. So how do we get people out of the comfort zone in the cocoon of a screen and actually talking to people in real life?
Ooh, yes. I also find with myself, the longer I don't go out and talk to strangers, the more uncomfortable I am in socializing and talking to strangers. Like even calling customer service gives me anxiety these days because I have to talk to an actual human being. So I definitely see myself, yes, I have to catch myself in that fall. But the only way to make connection is someone has to make the introduction. Someone has to say hi. Someone has to greet. So the greeting is like step number 1. But asking someone out, I think has to be so intentional. And this is a generation where they make things very ambiguous. Like, want to hang out? Want to see a movie sometime? Want to do this sometime? I personally think it makes sense to have an intentional ask out, which is, I would like to take you out, or let's go on a date.
Yeah, I want to read some that we put up in an Instagram post. So if you want these exact scripts, you can get them and you can just follow us at Dateable Podcasts. But again, direct and clear is the first category. I love to take you out sometime. Want to grab dinner this weekend? No misinterpretation there.
No.
Would you like to go on a date with me? Also pretty bold. Okay, more playful and casual. And again, this is, you pick what works for you. And it could be different with different situations. So when are we getting drinks together? I think we'd have fun on a date. Want to test that theory?
Love that one.
Okay. Situational. There is this new taco place I've been dying to try. Want to come with me this Friday? You mentioned that you love art. Want to check out the new exhibit with me this weekend? I like these because they're very like direct of like a plan. That's nice. The only downside of those, if someone's like, oh, I hate tacos, but who hates tacos?
But at least it opens up the conversation for them to say they hate tacos.
True. It doesn't mean they don't want to go out with you. And then another low pressure one is, hey, I really enjoyed talking to you. Want to continue this over a drink sometime. I used to love this even on dating apps because like I feel like it's a nice transition of like, I don't want to be typing my life story to you. Let's just meet up. And then another one, I think this could be really good if you've like met someone in a group setting. I'd be down to get to know you more one-on-one. Would you want to meet up sometime? More low pressure, especially if you want to like kind of get them out of that like group environment and see if it could be a date. I don't know if I would like, they might not know it's a date fully from that, but it could be like that transitional step.
Yeah, it gives them a reason to pause and think, we're going to spend some one-on-one time together.
One-on-one is a key indicator.
Key. But why is this so hard for people to ask other people out? Why is this such a hard thing to do?
Well, I think part of it too is people overthink what it has to be. Like it almost like I need to come up with this clever and witty way. I feel like some of these are pretty just basic, and that's okay. I think that's one piece of it. The other is like what we were talking about earlier is that because like we've been conditioned to not, seek out rejection, that it becomes really scary. So in our book, How to Be Dateable, there's a whole section about rejection proofing, right? And to do rejection therapy where you basically like ask for ridiculous things in a non-dating context. So you get used to people saying no. And we talked about this last week, actually, around like when you're in sales, you have to reach out to a ton of people before you get the yes. And that's just the way it's designed. And I think like I have friends that are in sales and they just had no issues with rejection and dating because they were so used to it. It was like rolled off for them because it was the norm.
Yeah, because at some point you don't even think it's rejection.
No.
It's just normal.
Right.
Some people are going to say no, and then you just move on.
Those are the people that took swings, though, in their love lives. Like, I don't know, there's always a correlation, I feel like, between people in sales, that they're very social and outgoing, and I'll have a lot of dates, all that. It's not everyone, but there is a correlation.
Yeah, I think salespeople clean up on dating apps because they know how to ask.
Yeah.
Right? Their ask is very strategic and it leaves no room for interpretation. I think that's why these asks are important to think about. You want to ask with conviction and you want to ask with clarity. And I think some of the worst ways that I've been asked out were very ambiguous, just insecure ways of asking. So then it puts me in a very insecure position of like, should I interpret this as a date? Should I interpret this as something more than friendship? Then everybody is a little confused and taken aback.
Do you have an example?
Yeah. I don't know if he listens to the podcast, but I've had this. There's been someone in the orbit for a really fucking long time, like probably 20 years.
Wow.
And I hear through, because we have mutual friends, I hear through mutual friends that he is interested and he wants to pursue something, but he has never once asked me out. But every time it's in some passive way, like, oh, I see that you're at this restaurant. I would have taken you there.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
That kind of thing. Or, oh, I see you're on vacation alone. I would have accompanied you.
What do you do with that? Yeah.
I don't respond. I don't respond anymore. There's nothing I can say. In the beginning, I used to be nice and actually say something in response, like, oh, I didn't know you like this restaurant. But now I'm like, what's the point, bro? Like, it's been 20 years. Where are we going with this?
So, okay, I have a question for you. I mean, clearly you're in a relationship now, so it doesn't apply. But like when you were single, you knew from friends that he was into you. Was it that you just weren't that into him? Was it that it was a turnoff that he would ask this way? Or were you like waiting for him to like step it up?
I think both. One is I've grown less and less open to the idea of him because of this passiveness. And I was open at some point to see like if he were to ask where things could go. I wasn't completely closed off to the idea in the beginning, but now it's a completely like hell no.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
What about you?
The worst ask out?
Yeah.
I think I don't have one that comes to mind. And that's
Mm.
probably because it was something that was like not fully okay. I take that back. I think it was on dating apps when it just felt like it was like a never ending black hole. And there
Ugh.
was never like I would put the hint out there of, we should talk in person or whatever. Eventually I just didn't care. And I was like, I'm just gonna like suggest, meeting up and see where they
Yeah.
go and take it. But I think for a while I was still trying to play a little coy and all that if they weren't
Mhm.
making the move. And when you're like throwing it out, they're clearly still interested because they're like having convos, they're texting you, like we would take it
Yep.
past the app, but then they just never moved it forward. So like I remember there was this one guy like when I was dating the time before last, like the last time I was really dating, like we were talking on text like every day. And he was like super flirty, super, wanting to make things happen, but just like didn't make them happen. It was always
Ugh.
like some excuse, I'm too busy, but then it would be like kind of like alluding to it. And I'm just like, eventually I'm just
Yeah.
like, this guy's wasting my time.
Again, back to the ambiguity and then just letting things linger. Oh, I
Yeah.
hate that feeling because you're like, just ask, like, just do the thing. But then in those situations, why would you not just ask?
I think because they give enough. Like they'd be
Mm.
like, oh, we should do something sometime or something vague, but then they would never lock in the plan. Eventually, and this is probably where I hit my wall, like I'd be like, I'm available Tuesday or Wednesday. And then you would just get like an ambiguous answer back. And to me, that
Yeah.
was like, okay, I've now put it out there. I had a few of these people that just will repeatedly text and like make it seem like a plan is coming, but it just never comes.
So why do you think people do that? Because I think this is very common.
Validation,
Right?
attention.
Is it?
I have to believe it
Yeah.
is because, like, why else are they wasting their time, like, having a text relationship pen pal? Doesn't make sense.
I'm sure you've all experienced this. The almost ask out.
Yeah.
Why? Why even put out the idea of like, oh, are you available Tuesday and not follow through?
No,
Blows my
the
mind.
worst. Okay, let's move to best because this is much more fruitful. But before, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. April is Earth Month. If there is one thing I've learned, it's that quality is sustainability. Think about it. When you invest in well-made, durable products, you're not just buying something that lasts longer. You're keeping waste out of landfills and reducing the need for constant replacements. That's exactly why I love Avocado Green Mattress. Avocado mattresses are crafted with the highest quality certified organic materials and expert craftsmanship. They're also climate neutral certified, meaning every purchase helps reduce carbon emissions and supports a healthier planet. Avocado mattresses offer easy financing options with Affirm, sleep trials up to 1 year, and generous warranties for your peace of mind. The best part is that you can try before you buy. You can visit one of their retail stores or premier retail partners to experience the comfort firsthand. Head to avocadomattress.com today and save up to 10% on certified organic mattresses. Dream of better for you and the planet. I mean, if I was to think about the best, there's like a funny story than the real story. The funny story is when I was doing karaoke to Coolio Gangster's Paradise.
Oh, I remember
And a
this.
guy at the end came up and was like, I must take you on a date. Whoa. I didn't know my
You're the girl of my dreams.
rapping and singing was so good. That was like a funny, entertaining one. But I did appreciate, someone like you caught someone's attention and they made it happen. It did feel nice. I think though other people too that have just been like direct with a plan,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be like a fully baked out $600 dinner plan, but like something that is, are you free this week? Would X date or this date work? I'd love to like go to this type of place, like generally, right? And like throw it out there, whether it's a bar or I always love to when people would say like, let me find a place that's like near your house or in between our houses, something that like kind of took into the convenience of me not having to like go to them and, basically be on your date that you talked about with your friend that I'm like walking them home from BART.
The productive walk date. It's efficient, at least. I feel the same about the best ask outs I've had. They're just so definitive and there's so much follow through. The ones I can think of are like, I'd love to take you out next Tuesday. Are you free? Or there was one, just meeting up with friends and it was like in a group situation. And he came over after, was like, I would really like to see you on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah.
Are you free sometime next week so I can get to know you better? That's great. Now I know. And then other favorites are just, I really like the line, I would love to see you, or I would love to take you out. Because if I feel desired, I feel respected, and I feel special. Like you're asking me out specifically.
Yeah.
I would love to, right? So yeah, those all work across the board.
I love that. And then, like the ones we read off earlier, so you all have so many go to lines now, but none of them are just like that. Like you don't have to overanalyze what you say. They're pretty simple and straightforward and to the point.
Yeah, it can be really simple, but I get it's scary because, Julie, you and I can say this and be like, just do it. But how many times have you asked someone out? Let's be honest.
I feel like on dating apps, by the end, I was asking people out. I don't know. I think there is some heterodynamics still that play in, but I think what I started doing was being at least more bold if I wasn't asking out like a specific plan on a date, like really alluding that I had fun and would love to see them again, stuff like that.
Yeah, but you're not like, I would love to take you out.
No, but it's still putting yourself out there because like they could nod and smile and be polite and just never call you again, or they could be like, make that.
It's true. It's true. But to be fair, men do more of the asking out and not so much apparently nobody does the asking out these days. So we get the onus is in these hetero dynamics on the man, but women, we can start doing the ask out, like a full on ask out, right?
We can. I also do feel like when you give a little, that does give permission. And I think in today's environment, that goes a long way. Like I was definitely pretty blunt by the end of just like making it clear I like intended and would be down to meet up with this person. So when they actually asked, it was like they weren't going to get rejected. So I think you can do that as a woman.
Yes. I met a girl who said she went on a asking out spree for 2 weeks. She just wants to see what the response would be. And of course, she had like 100% hit rate. Like all the guys were like, yes, yes, yes. She said the dynamic on the date was weird because the guys didn't know how they were supposed to behave because they were the ones being taken out.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. She's like, I did it, but it was still a little confusing.
It's still wild to me because in 2025, I feel like, it shouldn't matter, but there are these gender roles that have been ingrained so deep. That's why I'm still like a firm believer of like giving that inch and then they go the mile.
Yeah. Should we take a listener question?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm single, live in the SF Bay Area. Do either of you ladies have any single female friends that live here in the SF Bay Area that want to date? Thank you. So we're not a matchmaking service.
I mean, yes, we do, but we also don't know if you'd be the right fit. We have no idea.
Yeah. Why don't you get on the apps?
Okay. One, I want to applaud this person for putting themselves out there. That was actually like, something. So good job for that. We do get sometimes people like sending emails of like, are you guys single? Do you have any siblings that are single? Do you have any friends that are single? And it kind of just feels like you are looking for like anyone to fill that slot. So I would probably reframe it of like, this is what I'm looking for. Or like, do you have any friends that are like wonderful people that you would recommend to someone that is like this type of personality? Like something a little more specific. So if we actually did have someone, we could be like, yes. But like, how do we do that when it feels like you're just filling a slot?
You know which email I'm thinking of? That's making me laugh. The one that was like, are you guys single? If not, do you have any single friends?
That's what I'm talking about.
And if not, do you have any family members that are single?
I was like, I can't even respond to this anymore.
Are any of your cousins single?
I also still even think it's weird when someone would like hit us both up and be like, are either of you single? I'll take either of you.
Either.
Like, like I would much rather someone be like, oh, UA's personality, or like there's something about UA that draws me to her, than like, I'll go for anyone. You know?
I get it. I think it's good to expand your network, and it's also good to tap your friends to see if they have any single friends in mind for you, because you never know. And if you get people in that space, they'll think more intentionally about it.
Yeah.
But just putting out this wide net of like, know anybody single, that's not enough of a qualifier.
I do agree, though. I like this idea of using your network because they know you. And you could even say, like, I trust you because you know me so well that you might actually know who could be a good match for me. It's hard for us that don't know you, right?
Yeah. We really don't know you.
But again, I appreciate taking steps, maybe just a little more targeted.
That's a good question, though. It's a good question. I think eventually we'll get to a live show where we just auction off live
Oh my
people.
God. Auction off.
Oh, he also says my network. Oh, no. Another viewer says my friends don't have any single friends. My network is brutal. This is why you got to expand your network.
Yes.
Don't just go with your own friends. Expand. Go play pickleball. It is the best way to expand your network right now.
No, I'm going to hard no that. This is why we have our meeting in person masterclass, because we don't say you should play tennis or pickleball. Like, it needs to be tailored for you and what's authentic. I know you were just like hypothetically saying that, but like that is my worst nightmare if I was single right now.
Yeah, no, Julie would be like, fuck you all who are playing pickleball.
But I agree that you need to expand your network. And I think a lot of times we go somewhere and we're like, oh, there's no one single here, but you don't know who the people know. So go to places that intrigue you, that you enjoy being. Again, in our Meeting People in Real Life masterclass, we'll link it below for anyone interested. We do help you kind of build that framework of like the intersection of what you enjoy, but there's actually eligible people that you could meet.
Yes. Yes. And just keep telling your friends, I'm looking for someone amazing. I'm really ready for a relationship, or I'm at a stage in my life where I'm so ready to share my life with someone. When your friends hear that, they'll put it into their minds, they'll put it into the universe, and they'll start talking to their network, their coworkers, their neighbors. You just never know. I try to match up my friend. Now, this is not a successful match, but I still think it's a good story. My dad is part of a senior cycling group. So everybody's over 65, but they bike 3 times a week. One of the guys in this group has a younger friend who's 40 who also cycles, and they know he's single and he's a really nice guy. And they gave me kind of like his resume of why he's such a great guy. So I tried to set him up with a girlfriend of mine who they have similar interests. Anyway, the distance didn't work out, but see, you never know.
You never know. You're top of mind.
Why do you think my dad would know anybody being in his 70s? But see, that worked.
Love it. Well, thank you for these great questions. Hopefully this planted some ideas for you or gave you the confidence. Just put yourself out there because, again, rejection is just redirection. It says nothing about you if someone is not interested in a date, just not the right person. And it's freeing you up to build that confidence that you can rejection-proof yourself. Again, think about the 100 sales calls. It just takes one.
If you don't ask, you'll never get an answer. Put yourselves out there, y'all.
Okay.
All right.
Well, make sure to pick up How to Be Dateable for more of these tips. And again, rejection therapy. And then also we have a section about meeting people in real life there as well. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.